Sounds like Picks and Bans are ready for it, Taco. Let's go ahead and get those on the screen. And what do you want to see different from Elevate this time?
Probably no Odin. I think that's one of the biggest things is that the Odin setup was absolutely insane from Mollusk, and I think it's really starting to bleed through now, seeing some of the more veteran leadership and like experience. Because I remember Mollusk when he was still a little bit green to the competitive level of gameplay, he could sometimes get too over the top with the lead, and that would result in playing against him. But I think that time has really made him progress as a player to be a little bit more disciplined. I think that was an excellent showcase of that.
And I think Mollusk did a good job. I mean, if you're constantly punching the supports, they can't go sit on your Aphrodite, right? They kind of pull you over to the other side of the map. Maybe that was a bit of a problem for Fable there, too. But we're in Game 2 now. Picks and Bans ready. Let's see what the idea is. They're going to ban the Dong-Ji away, but this time, no Odin going to be here for Mollusk. Elevate first ban that one.
No surprises either. That's just a choice you have to go for. You don't want to let that Odin through one more time, because Aphrodite, sure, you can have some response to that, but the Odin and the Aphrodite, it's a little bit more challenging, and the Elevate, once they ran into that problem, just weren't really certain of how to avoid it. And Fable, I like the Xbalanque first pick, and Achilles going to be a god of choice alongside of, I think the Achilles is a bit questionable here though, because it feels a little bit like Elevate aren't trying to reveal everything just yet.
Yeah, I think they're trying to, like, you know, keep everything kind of close to the vest. But I mean, if we talk about some of these, you know, some of these picks here, you know, kind of generally, I mean, we saw with the Athena what they were trying to do with the last game, trying to use Defender of Olympus to counter out some of the aggression, but it can also be punished, as we saw. They were able to lock that Athena down very well, so hopefully that mobility and can tip things in your favor rather than be using the escape all game like we saw last time.
Yeah, and I don't think that Elevate had anything wrong with their dual lane in particular. I mean, Chulainn Athena is a very strong duo to try and run.
Right.
Because you have a lot of that teamfight potential immediately upon hitting level 5, and you could still impact the fight whether you're rotating out of the dual lane or not. Chang'e for Fable. Something tells me that Ryan Jarman isn't done just yet with his healer gods.
Well, I like Chang'e. If it is going to be Chang'e in the solo lane, we know that she can be quite strong right now. She's also a good kind of deterrent for other healers because she does have some anti-heal innately in the kit. Her ultimate, though, she rotates into a team fight and hits 2, 3, 4 people. That wins a fight a lot of the time. It's such a big game changer.
Waxing Moon is awful to try and handle. I mean, up to 6 seconds of a stun, depending on if you catch everybody in it.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is not a fun experience to be the last chain of command there. But
oh, you mean for the person receiving? Because I love when I'm the Chang'e and I hit a bunch of people with it. That feels great for me.
No, that's disgusting. I don't want to think about that. And if you're Elevate, I'm sure that's got to be some of their concern too, which is why they're opting for yet another pick composition. It feels Achilles, Ullr, Chulainn. You have a lot of damage. But I'm a little concerned about their crowd control.
The crowd control from Elevate, rather.
Yes.
Well, yeah, this is similar to what we saw from Fable, right? It was like the double warrior. We don't have a ton of control, but as long as we get up to a good start, we can win. And Ullr and Achilles and Chulainn, that's pretty good early. I mean, they're going to do a lot of damage.
Full commitment, though, to this physical composition. You are going big or going home here if you're Elevate. And Achilles, Chulainn, and Erlang, I'm not saying that it can't work. I'm just saying that this is a very heavy risk versus reward situation, and that Elevate simply cannot afford to have the same repeat of the laning phases that they did in Game 1.
Well, let's see if they do have that same repeat or not as we go into Game 2 here between Elevate and Fable. Again, Elevate need this victory if they want to turn things around. FableGG want to try and close this one out in 2. It is going to be Ryan Jarman taking the Chang'e over to the solo lane, and it's going to be Commando Snipes taking the Ullr into the mid lane for Elevate. So Zachsy going to be playing that ADC Chronos with a support Erlang Shen to help him out. Taco, I mean, talk to me a little bit about this duo lane. What do they want from this Chronos and the Erlang Shen?
Chronos and Erlang Shen is a unique combination in that you can get the knockup from the turtle form. And so IAmTheHamster definitely going to be the key factor here for the setup potential on Elevate's side, but Zachsy has to make sure that he connects every single time with those time rifts. I think that's a big thing. You don't necessarily have to throw out the stun at the same time as the knockup,
right?
But definitely connecting your time rift is going to be key here for a favorable duo.
And I like that. You know, when you get the setup, you don't have to worry about putting your own setup out. Make sure you just get your damage. So that's got to be the call from Zachsy to follow up with IAmTheHamster here in the dual lane. But they're going up against a pretty formidable dual lane in its own right. Fatal Ghost on that Xbalanque inbound on the Athena. They've got to make sure that they don't allow this Xbalanque to get too much stacked on his passive early by boxing too often, getting too much damage. As Nexamiss actually takes a bit of poke early, looking for the proxy farm.
Nexamiss on the Chulainn, though, against the Chang'e. This is a lane that could potentially work against him. Early on, Nexamiss, with the transformation, could maybe bully out Jarman a little bit in terms of damage, but if you're not careful, things could get dangerous quickly. Speaking of which, Fable actually opting on the duo side to go for the red buff and forego the wave and purple buff experience.
They felt like they were going to just lose pressure to this duo lane, so they wanted to go grab that buff first. Now they are going to come in and grab the wave, but already level 2 are Zachsy and Hamster with their start instead. And now looks like a little bit of trouble potentially in mid lane. Mollusk could have gotten cut out, but instead it's going to be okay. DoctorL's right there with him, but not going to be able to control him. But this seems a little bit inconsistent for me, the Elevate roster, right? It's early with the Chulainn, the Achilles, the Ullr. Those all feel like gods that win the early game pretty well. But then the Chronos, is that like a late game insurance sort of thing? Chronos just gets stronger and better as the game goes on. I mean, it feels like a little bit different. It's maybe not. They're having a good impact early. Fatal Ghost already in trouble.
Sprint has been popped, and Fatal Ghost will escape it thanks to it, but you're right. That was a ton of damage that I don't think either Inbound or Fatal Ghost were expecting to come through, and that's part of the power that a Time Rift can have early on. You continuously spam it out there, and eventually you will shred your opponent's health.
And he's doing Mage's Blessing Chronos, even though Chronos can be sort of one of that blurred line between Hunter and the Mage, and sometimes you see some Mage Hunters go at the Hunter's Blessing, like Soul often does. Not going to be the call here from Zachsy, though. Does get a little bit of extra damage on those abilities. Going to make sure he gets that cooldown MP5 as well.
I'm okay with this because I think that since Elevate have 4 physicals, Zachsy should probably be looking to build more into a Mage-based Chronos as opposed to the pseudo-ADC Chronos.
Commando Snipes finds Crimson in the mid lane. Does appear that he had a little bit of help coming out the way of DoctorL there, who was with him, and Mollusk was off on the speed buff at the time. So probably just ends up falling in the 2v1 there with that Bancross Talon rush. And that means now Elevate have a chance to rotate over to red buff and steal this one away, and no one's there to defend.
Part of the dangers of rushing the Bancrofts, you don't really have a whole lot of movement, and Commando Snipes on the T2 Transcendent is just a little bit more damage to be had. Inbound now going to get controlled, and the Time Rift will spell death number 2, or kill number 2, I should say, for Elevate.
I love how early aggression when these high-level teams play can spill from lane to lane. Like Zachsy and IAmTheHamster get ahead early, and now that frees a Commando Snipes and DoctorL to go aggressive. They get Crimson, steal red buff. Now they come meet the dual lane of Elevate at their purple buff, and Hamster and Zachsy can rotate up to join it. It's just this cascading effect that Elevate capitalize on perfectly.
This might sound a little bit odd, but the reality is a lot of times these players just don't expect that to happen. You see a kill happen in mid lane and you're like, oh yeah, that sucks, my mid laner just got bodied, but you think that you have the time to take your purple buff. I mean, Xbalanque Athena, it's still hard to look for an invade there, but all 4 members of Elevate rotating are the key reason why that works out, because otherwise you're probably going to end up coming up short. You might steal the buff, but you don't get the kill, and Elevate just wanting to ensure that they have the pressure from the get-go.
And I think we saw the combo you alluded to there as well. The knockout from IAmTheHamster into the Time Rift damage from Zachsy. His stun does land on the Commando Snipes. Thunder Crash used by Crimson aggressively. So now he has no escape. DoctorL comes in and punishes Crimson for perhaps going just too deep there.
That could not have been any worse. Not only did Crimson die again.
I guess.
I don't think beads would have saved him, though.
No, that would have been worse, right? If he'd used beads and doll, that's the only way it could have been worse.
He has a full Bancrofts now, but he's still level 4. He tried to full commit against the Ullr, sitting at level 4, and Commando Snipes reaping the benefits, without a doubt. And red buff having respawn at the same time as Crimson getting back to lane. He's got to take care of that wave. He can't worry about the buff.
So Elevate are going to be here for that respawn of it one more time, Taco. Going to put that under Commando Snipes. He's already having a game for himself, 1-0-1, and top of the net worth charts. They're going to be here for the purple buff spawn as well. And I mean, this is very much like how the last game went, except it was Fable with the double warriors who got off to a good start and were constantly being aggressive in the jungle. We're 5 minutes in. They already have about a 1,500 gold lead and a 3-kill lead, and are not going to slow down anytime soon.
They say 2 is better than 1, but right now it's Crimson wishing that he had somebody else in lane to help him. Same way, DoctorL, Fatal Strike, not even needed, because he's going to get the 3rd kill onto Crimson, no problem in the mid lane. 5.5 minutes.
There's really nothing Crimson can do here. 0-3-0. His beads are going to be on cooldown now, so he's going to be an even easier target. It was not very hard for them, even with the beads available, so it's not going to be very hard for them the next time either. And I don't want to put on the Bancross rush here. Maybe that very first kill, he might have had a chance to make it out, but he Thunder crashed in and set that up. I mean, I don't think that's on the build.
The first kill is poopy, but you can come back from it. The second kill is, Crimson, what are you doing? That's pretty much all it comes down to. I think that we've seen a little bit of tunnel visioning, I think, from Inbound in the last game, and then he cleaned it up. Crimson right now kind of falling victim to the same thing, so this is going to make things really rough, though, because I feel as though this is enough of a lead for Elevate now, especially on Commando Snipes, that it's going to weigh pretty heavily on the mid game.
He's level 8. Ullr's the highest level in the game right now. That is absolutely not what you want to see. He's already got that Transcendence finish and 35 stacks on it as well. He's going to have so much power coming out from this build that there's really no way for Crimson to hang. He has to go back all the way underneath the tier 1. Mollusk is here to try and help, but what kind of support really can he even provide as he tries to help defend this wave?
Splitting waves, too, feels awful when you know that your mid laner is behind, but you don't really have much of a choice if you're Mollusk. You're losing the entirety of your duo side jungle, so there's really not much left on the map for you to farm.
No, this has been very clinical from Elevate so far. The pressure in mid, the pressure in duo, using that to repeatedly strip away these buffs and, you know, try and make this Chang'e that we talked about earlier a non-factor. They're not fighting anywhere near it. They don't have to worry about Ryan Jarman over here on this mid-mage. In fact, they're going to go aggressive in the mid lane. It looks like, again, Commando Snipes is there. Can't quite find it onto Crimson. So instead, they're going to come towards the Gold Fury already. They're not really going to look at it just yet, but they're definitely trying to bait this out.
Do it. No reason not to. They have more than enough damage, and I don't think that anybody from Fable is even interested in trying to defend whether or not they know that it's happening. They're about to find out soon, though, because that sound cue lets everybody on the map know that the Gold Fury has just went down, and Elevate only adding to a little bit of a gold lead, but more importantly, the experience.
They do land the ultimate on the Nexamiss. Defender of Olympus is here as well, so a great rotation over the solo lane does net them a kill. Crimson able to come back and grab some back Harpies, but it feels like only just a little bit that they can get in return after having to give up that Gold Fury. And Taco, could they, even if they did know, if they had the information, could they have fought into that anyway?
No. I think that what happens if they try to fight into that, Crimson walks through the ward and gets blown up in less than half a second. And then Elevator like, okay, now we go to the Gold Fury for real.
Would have been RIP Crimson for yet another time. Transcendence now is evolved and finished for Commando Snipes in that mid lane. Things of this Ullr are just starting to get even rougher if you're on the side of FableGG. And as much as Game 1 felt like a bit of a runaway for Fable, Game 2 starting to have those same signs. If you're Fable, I mean, how do you throw the brakes on here into this game and try and slow down this early aggression? It's double warriors. I mean, how do you punish them early?
Mollusk kind of enacting the plan that I think you have to go for whenever you're this far behind. You just forfeit it. You have to give up all that farm, no matter how much it hurts you to watch it slip away. You don't really have much of a choice because you try to contest it, you're going to fall even further behind. You're most likely going to get picked. Fatal Ghost, not trying to risk it this time around. Inbound still sitting at level 6, would definitely get obliterated if he showed his face anywhere near these guys. Going to try and taunt in Zachsy as it is, and Time Rift won't connect, but now IAmTheHamster and DoctorL are interested in fighting.
The taunt lands on the Fatal Ghost. They follow that up. He's in execute threshold, but DoctorL not able to chase him underneath the tier 1 tower. Fatal Ghost, though, has to use the beads and has to retreat.
You know when your friend's doing something wrong, and you know that they're probably going to get in trouble for it, so you try to convince them not to do it. Speaking of which, through the Cosmos, not going to connect onto Commando Snipes. Maul is still trying to find the stun. Tycho Drum's going to be prompted out, and Crimson could potentially end up dying here.
And that is going to be, or rather not going to be the case. It's actually Commando Snipes who ends up dying. No beads used there, as it looks like it was just the damage coming out. In fact, the rotation comes over from Nexamiss, and he can't quite find Crimson, but he's not done yet. Jumps in, and that puts him down. Tier 1 tower falls into dual lane as well. Nexamiss punishing the mid laner yet again. Another spill for Crimson.
Crimson really thought he was going to get out alive there for a second. He had hopes.
Maybe he dreamed. Maybe he hoped, as you said, that he'd make it out.
He is. He's definitely not been having a very fun match this time around. And without having the same sort of escape potential as the Thoth, it's clear that Elevate do not want to allow Crimson the slightest chance of recovering because they have been on top of him the entire game so far, and we're only approaching the 10.5-minute mark.
Now, they've gotten a couple of important kills here, Taco. They've been able to take down Nexamiss in the solo lane once with the Defender of Olympus. They've gotten Commando Snipes in the mid lane with Mollusk ultimate as well. Are those types of plays, so that's all they can get back basically. Is that going to be enough as Crimson again takes half his damage from the pin and from DoctorL's damage? Actually, the axe lands. There wasn't any follow-up.
There wasn't much follow-up against Crimson, but they're looking for a lot of follow-up against DoctorL, and Zachsy, Waxing Moon going to come through, but it only catches DoctorL. DoctorL still alive, sitting at 10% health, but IAmTheHamster trying to find them on the backside.
Mollusk is coming to find DoctorL, and he can't do it. Zachsy deletes him while he tries to go up to through the Cosmos. Mollusk goes too far, has to just trade his life out that time. Now Crimson in some trouble, has to jump away from Commando. Snipes, who does punish him and take away those beats.
They're getting closer. It's a slowly but surely climb from Fable. They lost Mollusk, and that's a bit of a rough blow, but Mollusk is sitting ahead in experience in comparison to DoctorL, which is surprising since he hasn't had a left side jungle for the duration of this match so far.
That's right, Mollusk has had to try and strip away farm. He hasn't really been in the fights that much. If he sees a pick opportunity, he's there for it. But as you said, he's just been kind of giving up the farm and finding it elsewhere on the map instead of giving more kills to the team that's already way out ahead. So they do end up losing the farm a little bit more to Elevate, but FableGG are not as far behind as you might think. This isn't all the way over. They've got to keep finding their moments, finding their picks. Mollusk dives a little bit too far there trying to find DoctorL. It doesn't even full commit. Then he tries to look for through the Cosmos and just gets blown up.
Most of this game is going to ride on the back of Ryan, Jarman, and Mollusk because they're the two who are ahead or even pretty much for experience gains. Nexamiss just now hitting level 13, so he will be sitting a little bit above Ryan Jarman there in that solo lane. But these two haven't really had much of an opportunity to play a part in any of these engagements so far. I think that last one at the red buff was probably the closest Ryan Jarman has come to participating in a fight, and it's to be expected of your solo laner because they don't have as many opportunities to rotate so early.
Well, Gold Fury is very low. Inbound is here. They drop the Darks and Knights. Elevate do secure the Gold Fury. They get taunted back in by Inbound as well, but Zachsy has the ultimate. Fatal Ghost hits him in the head with a bola and takes down Hamster. That's another kill for the Xbalanque Hunter. Thunder Crash coming in. They want to go aggressive onto the Ullr now, and they're following up with the sprints and the Tycho drums. Aegis to immune the damage, but Crimson puts him down. 2 kills to punish the Gold Fury. FableGG fight back.
Those are the responses that Fable has to have every single time. Let Elevate take the Gold Fury. We want the fight after the fact. Elevate got a little bit too comfortable there, I think, with their lead and didn't really expect Fable to try and contest the Gold Fury seriously, but can't underestimate that Darkest Night. And
you can't underestimate Nexamiss as he rotates on the backside. Zachsy has the damage, and Fatal Ghost ends up falling despite a great play from him just a moment ago. Actually, his first death of the game, but you're right, Taco. That's the plays FableGG just has to make. And I don't think Elevate did quite enough zoning on that Gold Fury to make sure they wouldn't lose the fight afterwards.
No, it seemed as though they were more interested in just securing the Gold Fury as opposed to anything else, because there was some steal potential for Fable. Speaking of which, there's also some kill potential against Ryan Jarman and Inbound, but they're going to be left alone as Elevate fall back to their own part of the map. And one positive from that Gold Fury engagement and those picks, it means that Fable finally get their red and purple buffs back under their own control.
They should be able to control their jungle a little bit better now. But FableGG, I mean, you got to consider what they're working towards is hold that thought. Pyromancer brought down to half health. Ryan Jarman is nearby, but it's a 1v4. He does have the ultimate available for steal, but Nexamiss zones him away. Pyromancer and the Gold Fury all go the way of Elevate, despite losing a couple kills.
Pyro just shredded a little bit too quickly here, and it's to be expected of an early game Ullr with the lead. Commando Snipes with that Transcendence, and the Crusher going to get that boost of attack speed that you typically desire when you're ahead on Hunter. And the bonus ability damage is another key thing to keep in mind. That's going to deal quite a lot against members like Fatal Ghost and Crimson, and we've already seen what's been happening to Crimson this game.
It's been rough, and you can see there what that damage does. Crusher with that Transcendence sort of as the power bank item is such a good combination. Another combination you got to worry about is Zachsy, Chronos, and the hastened ring from the hunter position. That's going to be even worse for them as the game goes on. Brings back that old hastened effect for Chronos, and he's already been allowed to free farm up to this point. He's going to be very difficult to deal with.
And I don't think this hurts him too much in terms of still having the opportunity to build the Chronos for ability damage, and that way that Evelate can have the large amount of secure that you want, because Crimson on the Raijin still doesn't have a great amount of secure. Speaking of which, Mollusk might not have any survivability, will be able to dash evade the Fatal Strike, however.
But Hamster goes in for the two-man taunt. Crimson is the one that's going to be the target. Gets knocked up, but the Defender of Olympus is there to keep him alive. 5 members strong, though. Evelate want this tier 1 tower. They realize Ryan Jarman's making the rotation over. Ping's coming out. He's on a ward. Crimson, though, is in trouble. DoctorL blinks in, lands the stun, but does not have enough damage. Tier 1 tower still being looked at as DoctorL fights in the jungle.
DoctorL might have just accomplished the goal that he was after, however. Nexamiss is going to run straight through the T1 tower. Doesn't even care. Just wants to shove Fatal Ghost away. And with all the attention being diverted because of DoctorL managing to pull the members of Fable back towards their T2, Evelate get to take the T1 for free.
And it looks like they're rotating over towards the tier 1 in solo now to try and bring that one down, as it is pretty low. Ryan, Jarman, Mollusk, all here. They both have ultimates and are ready to try and make the defense, but they're not going to be here in time. Commando Snipes able to take this structure down, and they're going to add even more global gold to their pocket, as Fable can only farm their jungle safely. But Evelate have done a much better job of kind of reining things in, only taking what they can instead of forcing too many bad fights.
I like that they're not overstaying. That's the big thing. They get the T1 tower in mid. They don't try to force a T2 or even look for a poke or picks. They just wanted that T1, and they're more than happy to back off with just that 500 gold, because it's for now kind of thing. And Evelate have the lead for now. They don't want to do anything that's going to risk that or throw it off, because Triple Warriors, despite how strong it looks right here in this game, it's not something that plays out this well most of the time.
It's worked for them so far, but you're right. Once it gets later, they got to be careful. But they've done a good job, right? It's like you send your 3 warriors out there to sort of get you an early lead, and then you bring it back to Zachsy on this late-game Chronos and say, please, carry us through once we start to get towards the end of that mid-game into late. And Zachsy's in great position to do it, working on the Obsidian Shard, highest on his team in player damage, second really only to Ryan Jarman, who's getting some free solo poke all game long. With that Band Cross talent and the Obsidian Shard, he's going to be swinging, especially the longer the game goes on. That's just how Chronos passive works.
Evelate just played it perfectly at the start, focusing out Crimson so heavily and kind of just hoping that he would choose to fight back into it. That was the same thing that Evelate kept doing in the last game, was fighting into the lead. And speaking of which, Crimson could potentially end up getting soloed by Zachsy, but he does manage to teleport away just in time.
I'm telling you, we can't build up this Chronos damage enough. It's absurd at this point in the game as Ryan Jarman moves in. Up in the air is Mollusk with that through the Cosmos. He's looking for a target, but he's going to move away, it looks like, defensively, instead of trying to come in to defend. Gold Fury has been leashed for now, as instead Evelate move forward looking for the fight. Pin doesn't land. Nexamiss in that rage form. They want to try and get a kill now while they can. Inbound going to be the target. He's been stunned. He's been slowed. He's been mezzed, and now he's inside the purple buff pit, and Commando Snipes able to bring him down.
Just nowhere left to run. Inbound tried to get that taunt off to pull DoctorL out of the turtle form, but it just wasn't in time. Taunt never gets applied, and as a result, Inbound loses his life, and now with a 4v5, excuse me, 3v5, because Elevate DoctorL is going to find Mollusk on the backside.
Mollusk tried to loop around the backside of the fight, but it just gets collapsed on. They just drop the objective and turn towards him. They're going to let Hamster and DoctorL go on zoning duty. Meanwhile, their double hunter, if you will, is going to shred through the Gold Fury. Elevate grab that one. Now Ryan Jarman in a little bit of trouble. Defender of Olympus is used, but I don't think Inbound can stick around, as the rest of Elevator have gotten what they wanted and they're ready to leave.
Defender of Olympus is there purely to ask Elevate, please don't aggress any further onto Ryan Jarman. Please just let our Chang'e back.
Please allow her to live. I like the way that Ryan Jarman's gone, though, with this build path. He's got the Breastplate, Midgardian, Lotus Crown. This is a very utility, defensive Chang'e build that he's gone with plenty of cooldown so he can heal and get those extra protections for the team up as often as possible. But I don't know if they've gotten the luxury of a nice 5-on-5 fight where they can allow this Chang'e sort of help sustain them and buff them through the fight.
Even if they had the 5-on-5 fight, I don't think that it's one Fable should try to take right now.
Sure.
Crimson, Mollusk, and Fatal Ghost all just need to focus heavily on farming and making sure that they stay on top. The main thing I'm looking at is Zachsy's lead over Fatal Ghost. Zachsy has just had so many picks and been a part of a lot of Elevate's success towards the objectives in this match, that he's playing the zone duty well and making sure that he connects with every single one of those stuns and time rifts.
It's going to be very scary if Zachsy continues to play like this for the Elevate roster, as he just continues to get stronger as the game goes on. Now he has red buff to go along with his already increasing power as they start to position a little bit around this Fire Giant. We're 20.5 minutes into the game. This is certainly reasonable for a team with an 8,000 gold lead to start looking at it. There's a ward from Jarman on the pit, though, so they know that he's here.
Elevate, oddly enough, kind of have all the sides covered. You have your early game, your mid, and your late. But a lot of the late is just riding on the back of Zachsy. That's the main concern here, is what happens if Fable just decide to full commit onto Zachsy every single time. Then you're relying purely on commando snipes for some of the objective structure damage, and it's a lot easier to shut down an Ullr than it is a Chronos, that's for sure. Yeah,
Chronos with that rewind passive can be very safe. But FableGG give up the Fire Giant. That goes the way of Elevate, and I think this is intentional. They're trying to come grab the Tier 1 tower and what jungle farm they can. They knew they couldn't fight on the Fire Giant pit. Now they're backing, getting out of there. Elevate are going to come back and clean up the waves, and then they can start making their push. But I don't know, Taco. You're saying that if Zachsy's down, the Ullr's a lot easier to deal with, and I agree with you, but the rest of the team has gotten off to such a lead that even if they do all in on Zachsy, I mean, DoctorL's doing plenty of damage too.
Don't get me wrong, the Warriors can deal damage and find picks. It's securing the objectives that I have some concerns, because they won't be dealing as much damage to those Phoenixes. Like, say Fable just clears out the waves consistently, which is what I'm expecting to happen here, as Crimson and Fatal Go is going to heavily prioritize killing those creeps. That way, if Elevate do decide to commit underneath the Phoenixes, they have to invest their own health pools in their own front line to do so. And that is going to be where Fable has to find all of their punish, because the siege from Elevate's composition is a bit questionable if Fable ever catch up.
I agree, they do need to all-in Zachsy, though. I mean, what are the magical defense options from Fable here so far? There really are not any that are particularly strong, so Zachsy's kind of just doing real full-on damage to every single body on FableGG, and they're going to start with Nexamiss, at least Fable are, on the right-hand side. He's looking for Fable Ghost in the 1v3, has that Rage transformation, and looking to hunt him down. Has to drop the Darkest Nights, and Nexamiss is going to go for the retreat, but meanwhile, the rest of Elevate are pushing a Phoenix in the left-hand side. They've got Zachsy and everyone else there. DoctorL ends up falling as he gets caught out by Crimson, but I think they're okay with this trade.
I'd be happy with this trade. They're going to get a Phoenix for free, and Nexamiss could potentially end up falling here. Waxing Moon having been invested from Jarman, and Nexamiss still looking for the kill onto Fatal Ghost.
Looks like they are going to be able to bring him down without him finding a kill on the Fatal Ghost, but at the cost of a Phoenix. Yes, you won a 2v1 and a 3v1, you're supposed to, but you also lose your left-hand Phoenix forever weakened, and now the rest of Elevate are free to start looking for blood anywhere on the map. They're roving around as a death squad.
If they get this T2, then it might be okay for Fable, and I only say that because I think they lose a Phoenix no matter what anyway. Even if all 5 are backed, that just means that all 5 of the members from Elevate are going to be grouped up charging that left side Phoenix anyway. So if you spread out across the map and you just say, screw defending our left-hand Phoenix, then everybody else is going to be forced to maybe try and respond to you. And now, instead of 2 T2 towers going in favor of Fable, they only get the 1, but they get 2 picks on top of that, which ultimately does prevent Elevate from being able to push at least for a couple more minutes until their teammates have respawned.
It does seem to have helped them out in the experience department a good bit, but there's only so long you can say, okay, have a Phoenix before you've lost, and Elevate are just going to continue to force them to make those tough calls as the game goes on. They do get the tier 2 tower, so gold doesn't really end up being a lead for they don't increase their gold lead off that, but Elevate going to continue to force these fights.
It's just the pick your poison classic.
Sure.
It's either you get your Phoenix or you get some golden experience, and Fable probably just fully expecting that they can hang in the late game so long as they make it there.
That's got to be the idea. They do have Inbound on the Athena. The Confound we saw earlier, those taunts going to continue to be strong for them to try and set up for the rest of the squad. Crimson will eventually be able to get some good damage off. He's built kind of utility with his second and third option slots, but once he gets some more damage, he'll be good to go. And they have the Chang'e for sustain. They don't have a horrible late game comp. They just got to hold on long enough to make it there.
All right, now it's all about Nexamiss holding on to this tower aggro, and Zachsy putting in some nice auto attacks, but they're going to fall back from the Raijin, and Everyone's kind of just sitting around waiting. Fire Giant has worn off, however, and so I can't fault Fable, or excuse me, Elevate for wanting to drop that siege just yet. They will make sure to secure the Pyromancer, and then probably end up back in the base to spend their gold before looking to come and do this Fire Giant one more time.
Aggro's such a dumb name. You said Tower Aggro. I thought you were calling me Aggro for a minute. I was like, what? But no,
I would never do that.
You said
Finch,
Tower Aggro.
I think it's literally impossible for me to ever call you Aggro.
That's true. But it would be, you know, what would really make it actually impossible is if it wasn't such a dumb name and you had a real name. That would change. That would help. There's a whole bunch of... What?
What if you renamed to Zeus? Because that's all he ever talks about to begin with.
Just renames it. That's actually not a horrible idea. Just call him Zeus. You want to just call him that from now on, Taco?
Yeah, let's just change his name for him.
Yeah, okay, so me, you, and Mixer Chat, we'll make that deal right now. We'll just call him Zeus from now on.
Anytime. That or human Ratatoskr.
Yeah, apparently that's also a thing. They did go grab the Pyromancer. You were right about that one, Taco, and fall back. Looks like Fable are grouping up and forcing down another Tier 2 tower. They're finding every little bit way back in that they can.
I love it. No reason not to. You can't contest that Fire Giant. You go into that pit, you're going to die. And they were possibly even looking for the Phoenix.
I thought so.
But Inbound going to be the only one still sticking around. He can always ult out if necessary, and that's going to be the choice here. With the Fire Giant having just fallen, DoctorL was bound to continue spamming and following Bobby around the map until everybody else from Elevate rotated over, and then you're stuck in a 4v5 because Inbound gets picked, so smart decision to ult away.
Let's switch it up.
How do you feel about this Rod of Tahuti into Wingblade from Zachsy as he finishes off the build? I like Wingblade, you know, to get away from the slows, and extra movement speed on Chronos is always great. But, you know, there's been some different thoughts about Rod of Tahuti after its changes.
It works here because Commando Snipes is going to be able to deal that big boon of damage that you want, but he won't necessarily be able to finish off the kill. Rod of Tahuti, I think, is going to make sure that Zachsy definitely gets the kill, and you don't want to risk anybody staying alive from Fable because of Ryan Jarman on the Chang'e. That is certainly a god pick, where as the game gets later and later, could easily shift the tides.
That's right. A max range time rift on like a retreating low health target. That's pretty strong, right? From Zachsy with that Rod of Tahuti additional, I think what we saw was 25% that you get on targets if they're below that 50% health threshold. So certainly not a bad idea from Zachsy to try and get that rocking and a rolling as they group up on the left Phoenix. Remember, this one's already been weakened. Fable had to give it up earlier on, and they've got fire minions pushing in. Nexamiss goes in with Thorns, taunt onto Inbound to pull him right back in. He's in execute threshold. He has been able to make it away as Crimson finds a good Taiko drum to disrupt the team fight.
2 members incredibly low from Fable, but they're going to live to see another day or at least one more fight. Everybody from Elevate trying to resustain, but Commando Snipes does not have lifesteal in his build, relying purely on the Fire Giant regen. And Nexamiss still looking to lead the charge, but this is the siege that I felt was going to become problematic for Elevate as time went on.
No beads or Aegis available, no relics for Commando Snipes or for IAmTheHamster. Both had to commit all of them. Same for Inbound and Mollusk, but their 2 carries, Crimson and Fatal Ghost, appear to have not been threatened. They're still holding on to all their relics after that exchange.
The Darkest Night ultimate from Fatal Ghost has not been very relevant throughout this match, but here on these Phoenixes is where its importance is really going to start shining through, because Elevate, you're trying to commit a Warrior underneath that Phoenix. Warriors just have a tough time tanking up all of that Phoenix damage, and also appears that Inbound has elected for an Emperor's armor. Excuse me, no, that's IAmTheHamster's Emperor's, which is why. No,
Inbound, they both have
Inbound
one. And Hamster, yeah. I'm with you here, Taco. It's up into the air goes Mollusk. He's going to be looking for a target to land down on. His Inbound takes half his HP. DoctorL going to chase Crimson out of the fight. And meanwhile, the rest of Elevate still haven't found a way quite into the Phoenix area. Pin lands. Inbound's going to taunt Hamster back in, but there's no follow-up damage, and they're going to continue to rain in damage or Zachsy and Commando Snipes.
They're trying to keep him off the Phoenix, and Ryan Jarman going to be able to stand strong now. These heals playing such a crucial role in keeping this Phoenix sustain going.
It hasn't. I agree. It has not been easy for Elevate to break this base. And FableGG gave this Phoenix up once, but they're ready to fight this time. They got to cut some gold from those towers. They've got themselves a little bit more even. They're ready to fight one more time, Taco.
And Crimson also managed to stay alive and only had to forfeit his purification beads in the process. So DoctorL really not getting much for diving so deep.
Now, Nexamiss did have the teleport available, so he backed, went back to base, got that full health, and now he's back in to jump in one more time, has those thorns ticking, and is interrupting Crimson and forcing him back. The taunt lands on the 4 people, but there's no immediate follow-up. Now Fatal Ghost comes in and blows up Commando Snipes. Phoenix on left-hand side does go down, but that has not deterred Nexamiss, who's continuing to try and chase out Mollusk.
Oh, this could be problematic, though, for Evelate. Their backline has decided to turn right around because they see Nexamiss still going in. But it does feel as though they don't want to risk anything further because everybody turned tail and ran. I thought for a second they were going to full commit into that chase inside of Fable's base, and I was waiting for a throw to happen.
Fortunately, Elevate only give out Commando Snipes there and they back off. But Taco, you and I, the reason we were talking about how this composition from Fable looks better in the late game is because it looks better in the late game. They have a chance to slow down this triple warrior composition from Elevate. Now, the problem that's always going to persist, though, is this Chronos from Zachsy. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And eventually, it's going to be hard to deal with. Can Fable, though, make their composition work even in the face of that?
Well, there's that, and even plays like the last Siege we saw have to sit there on the back of Fable's mind where they just have to ponder, was it really worthwhile forfeiting that first Phoenix? Because I think that's a defense they make
if it's not
now,
weakened.
if it's full,
yeah,
and if it's not already weakened. And I think that there is where you start to see some of those earlier decisions come into play because it's not something you can figure out on the fly.
That's right. You kind of got to make those shot calls, you know, in the moment, split-second decisions, and now Fable potentially paying for it if they could have defended that Phoenix. Now they'll have a chance on some full Phoenixes here shortly as Elevate do go and grab the Fire Giant for themselves, and then they want to come back in one more time and try for that Phoenix Siege. But Fable have laid the groundwork inbound with a big taunt into Crimson's Taiko drums. Ryan Jarman can also find a big waxing moon with his own ultimate as well to set up. Fatal Ghost very disruptive with those Darkest Nights. They certainly have a chance to defend these Phoenixes and grab a 2-0 here. They're going to need a couple victories in a row.
Well, we already knew that it wouldn't be easy, and Fire Giant further affirming that Elevate have the lead we were already aware of. FableGG looking to set up alongside the mid or right-hand Phoenix. Even with Elevate pushing on this right-hand side, though, I think this is the side that they want to try and commit to. It is the closest to the Fire Giant, but the more the better, and it's the furthest Phoenix away from the left-hand side.
Inbound dashes in, finds a 2-man taunt. Ryan Jarman stacks the CC, so Commando Snipes able to beat it, but now he has nothing to get away from Mollusk's knock-up into Fatal Ghost damage. Next target is going to be Nexamiss. Fatal Ghost is here, and he's swinging out the big boy. Crits! Inbound finds that last hit. Next one on the chopping block's going to be IAmTheHamster, and he can't find a way out, not through the Athena taunt. Zachsy sends in some damage of his own, and waiting around the corner was DoctorL, but this FableGG squad in the late game is ready to roll.
Everybody's still looking to rumble, though, as Elevate on the retreat. FableGG looking to go one more time against Zachsy. There's the burst that you need to have against the Chronos.
Can't even get the rewind off, Taco. No more healing for you, no retreating for you. 3 members of Elevate down, and FableGG with 5 members strong are ready for the counter push. Remember, they traded that Phoenix for a couple tier 2 towers. The one in duo is down, the one in solo is down. This Titan, not quite as tanky as you might have otherwise expected. They're gonna grab the tier 2 in mid lane, and maybe even a Phoenix.
This is the counter engagement that I don't think Fable were expecting to come through just yet. The perfect picks of the target selection from Fable just worked out beautifully for them.
Well, now Elevate have got to try and make a Phoenix defense of their own, Taco. And I think that just by having those respawns, that's all they needed. Unfortunately, Fable could not get a Phoenix. They have to go back and defend their own respawning Phoenix. You see Mollusk handling that for the squad now. But they've shown they can make these defenses happen. They might get another chance.
A bit unfortunate that Mollusk had to go in defense, so they didn't have the full 5 to rush down the mid side. It's still better than everything else that's happened for them this game, though.
Yeah.
FableGG managing to make not just 1, but 2 pretty successful Phoenix defenses now is it definitely got to start bearing some concerns in the back of Elevate's mind, because sure, you're in the lead, but does it really feel like you're winning if you're in Elevate's position right now?
it's starting to feel like your lead is getting smaller and smaller, I think, if you're Elevate. I think you're starting to realize that your triple warriors are not the same as having an Athena taunt, you know, every, 10, 12 seconds. It's not the same as having, you know, that big teamfight ultimate from the Chang'e solo and all that sustain. Yes, those warriors are strong early, and they're able to do good damage, but they don't quite have that same control. They gotta hold on. They have a little while longer where they still have that lead, Taco, but it's diminishing.
That's just to be expected, I would say, even.
Yeah.
It's hard to make warriors stay as impactful once the mid-game starts to wear off a little bit and you slowly filter into that late-game stage. Elevate, I think the big thing for them is they just have not been able to find picks underneath those Phoenixes, and part of the reason for that is just the lack of crowd control.
Yeah, I think Fatal Ghost and Crimson have felt relatively safe in these Phoenix Sieges so far. They haven't been under that much stress.
It's like one knockup from IAmTheHamster or even Nexamiss maybe looking to drop the Chulainn ultimate for the knockup factors, but even then, it's basically that. And then you have Commando Snipes with an Axe stun or Zachsy with the Chronos stun, but those just aren't enough reliable forms of CC.
We're going to have a 5-on-5 in the jungle. At least that's what it looks like to me as both teams have grouped up. Ryan, Jarman, and Mollusk are a little bit on the backside of this fight, and that's freed up Nexamiss to go in aggressively on Ryan Jarman. DoctorL is on the backside of this fight, and he found Fatal Ghost, finally putting some pressure onto these carries. Darkest Night comes out from Fatal Ghost, and Mollusk is up in the air. He's made DoctorL his target on the backside, but can't get him when he's all alone. The rest of Elevator here for the collapse. Meanwhile, Nexamiss forces Fatal Ghost away and almost gets the kill.
No one's paying attention, though, to everybody from Fable being so low because all eyes were on Mollusk since Mollusk tried to dive DoctorL. And DoctorL did wind up having to use his sprint there to get away from that through the Cosmos. And Cursed Ankh, though, still available for Elevate. That's going to be huge for them because Fable, I think, know that Elevate didn't really invest nearly as much as what Fable did there.
Well, while we have a moment, look at Crimson's build. He'd been holding on to that Dynasty Plate Helm, I believe, that Tier 2, almost the whole game. But he's sold that off now for the Midgardian Mail, some more physical prots to try and keep him through Commando Snipes and the rest of the Warrior damage. Plus, it still helps on Zachsy's autos, too.
I can't help but wish that this was a Mantle of Discord instead, though. You have 3 Warriors against you. That is 3 targets that have to stay up close and personal if they want to continue applying damage. Speaking of which, Erupt Crimson dealing his own damage against DoctorL.
Able to blow him up in a big way. That's the jungler for Elevate sitting out for a full minute. We'll see you later. FableGG now finally, for the first time, it felt like in 37 minutes and 26 seconds, have a chance to be the ones that are the aggressors in this map. With all 5 members, they can start pulling this Fire Giant, and now Elevate have got to play a little defense.
They get the Pyromancer, and Nexamiss and Zachsy still hanging around the corner.
They're not going to contest.
I respect this call, though, because you lose 2 more members that try to run in there, and that's just Fable sieging a Phoenix, possibly even taking the game, because we're starting to get to the point where these respawn timers are hitting a minute and later, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of a teammate who's out of the fight for 50 seconds plus.
Mid-Phoenix is going to be the call from Fable. They still have the 5v4, 10 seconds where DoctorL will be back. Looks like the jump in came from Nexamiss for the disruption on the back line, but Mollusk, he's coming right for Commando Snipes in there. Crimson is the one that ends up taking him down. Hamster in a little bit of trouble as well, as FableGG are starting to surge into the Phoenix room. Can't find the damage on the Hamster. Thunder Crash not enough either. He's juking for his life and makes it out.
Oh, that is not a good look for Fable, but DoctorL going to be able to return fire, punishing Fable for staying inside of this fountain room. Takes out Mollusk to start. Commando Snipes does end up falling in the process, but Fatal Ghost going to get executed as well by the Achilles.
DoctorL's back up, and he has a double kill for himself, looking for Inbound now. They managed to find that mid-Phoenix, but they're paying for it with their lives, or FableGG, and where can Inbound hope to run? He ends up falling to Zachsy now. 3 kills for Elevate, who find themselves back on top. They may have lost Commando Snipes, but they still have Zachsy, they still have structure damage, and they still have a 4-on-2.
You have to connect with your abilities there to secure the kill onto IAmTheHamster.
If you're Crimson, yeah.
No reason why IAmTheHamster is still alive right now. It's not even just Crimson. There were more than just Crimson hanging around that mid-Phoenix territory. Someone had to land anything. It could have been a sneeze and he would have died.
They were very, very close on that mid-siege, and that was a chance for Fable to potentially turn this game around. And now a chance for Elevate, I mean, really, to maybe even end this as they jump in. Looks like the Cursed Ankh has come out as Crimson's the target. Thunder crashing onto Hamster, but yet again, Hamster survives, and now Crimson is going to be the target. They jump down on him, and Nexamiss able to find that kill. It's still a 4v2.
And right now, it's Elevate doing all they can to return fire on the mid lane Phoenix that they just lost to Fable's last siege. And with the weekend left-hand Phoenix, IAmTheHamster trying to run away from Mollusk right now, will manage to escape yet again. They just cannot catch this Erlang Shen.
4 members strong on the duo side of the map yet again. Really 5 members strong as Crimson the only one missing FableGG. Up into the air goes Mollusk. He dives on the backside, and he's going to make DoctorL his target. Gets knocked up and interrupted and has to retreat. Nexamiss takes a bunch of shots from the Phoenix. They cannot bring the left one down just yet. FableGG do hold on to their lives. And it looks like Crimson's changed his mind yet again. Now that's a Rod of Tahuti in that slot instead of the Midgardian male. So he's kind of been all over the place in what he feels like he needs for the team, and now he just wants more damage. I guess what? That would kill Hamster. If Hamster's got barely any HP left, that would be enough to do it, as it looks like we do have a brief pause coming out from Hamster.
And, I mean, there's bound to be a lot of, I don't want to call it confusion, but it's getting pretty hectic in those comms, I can feel. Because once you see the target prioritization start shifting in a bunch of different little directions, I think one of the main reasons for that is just it's hard to keep track of everybody so late into the game. It is.
It's a lot that's going on. You're keeping track of 5 players, cooldowns, relic timers, ultimate timers, your own abilities, where the minions are on the map, is our base being sieged. It's so many things that everyone's trying to keep track of in these fights that if, you know, Hamster, if a couple shots don't land on him and he's able to make it out, then, you know, that can end up happening. And Crimson maybe trying to mitigate some of those chances by going with this Rod to give him a little bit of extra damage on those low health targets, and we'll see if that'll be enough to make the difference here. He's got the Soul Reaver in that build as well. Crimson now fully bringing the damage for this FableGG squad.
Seems as though we're going to be strapped in for a while here, Finch, because things are really heating up between these two teams. Elevate got their set life on the line here in game number 2, and it has not been an easy one to close out.
FableGG just continue to put up these stalwart defenses. Now, a couple of miscommunications cost them when they were sieging that mid-Phoenix, and they end up losing like 3 lives, and now Elevate are able to come back in and reclaim that mid-Phoenix. But at this point, 42 minutes into the match, the early lead for Elevate, I mean, that's forgotten. This is a relatively even game, basically just even between these two squads. The only difference is composition and how well they can play them, as Elevate are baiting out in the jungle, trying to get Fable to walk into a trap.
I'm not even sure that this is really going to come down to who gets the Fire Giant or who sieges the next Phoenix, as much as it's going to be who gets the better end of the team fight. I think that there's going to be a massive brawl pretty soon here. These teams have been itching to just go at it, and this is the initiation we were waiting for. DoctorL already pulling Fatal Ghost down to half health.
And looks like taking away some cooldowns from him. Fatal Ghost does not have beads available. Up into the air goes Mollusk. He's going to be looking for a target to land on. The ultimate from Raijin Jarman is a little bit off the mark as Mollusk continues to chase them in on the backside of the fight. Meanwhile, Hamster is fighting up against Inbowned. That leads right into the Fatal Strike, but doesn't get an actual execute. Fable have a moment to fall back and regroup, but they're not ready to retreat. They're going to taunt in Hamster and try and bring him down, but yet again, he tries to escape, but this time Mollusk is there.
FableGG, all 5 members still intact. Fatal Ghost has managed to sustain himself back to full health. He has the triple crit build with an Executioner, so that's going to be his most reliable form of like trying to chunk away at these warriors from Elevate. And IAmTheHamster out for another 50 seconds should spell this mid-Phoenix going in favor of Fable.
This is a huge opportunity for FableGG. They've been down almost the whole game, and now with the 5v4, they've got to make sure they capitalize. Mid-Phoenix is in trouble. Mid-Phoenix not even defended. FableGG take that one for themselves. I think that might be enough for them. They're going to come back towards the Fire Giant. It's still a 5v4, but I think they want to just come get every bit of advantage they can. They're going to fall back to the big-time map objective.
Yeah, everybody from Fable interested in this Fire Giant now, and for good reason. It's mostly the health sustain and the region that you're going to be looking for, and considering that Fable already had the Chang'e, that's going to just make things even better.
Fable have done such a good job in these team fights, whether it's Fatal Ghost with the ultimate to create the disorientation, or Mollusk has really been a problem with his ultimate as well, with those big knockups, and finding some setup for the rest of his squad. At that point, that feels like the big difference between these two. FableGG have several ways to try and control the fight and find damage, whereas Elevate are kind of just relying on burst. We saw DoctorL blink in on the Fatal Ghost to start that fight very early on and try and blow him up quickly. If that doesn't work for Elevate, then they really don't seem to have as much of a plan in these fights the way that Fable do.
Well, Fable have seemed like they've had the right idea for the past 10 minutes or so, I would say, because a lot of their counter engagements and even just their initial aggressive moments have felt a little bit more connected and fluid than that of Elevate. In that previous engagement where we saw IAmTheHamster getting picked, it was all about DoctorL blinking in, trying to attack Mollusk on the backside, or excuse me, Fatal Ghost on the backside, and then coming up short and immediately having Mollusk and co. turn on him.
Inbound dashes in for the taunt on the Commando snipes. That does take the Magai's cloak off of him, so he won't have that bubble for another 60 seconds. Gonna have to use beads or Aegis next time as FableGG regroup yet again. Nexamiss and the rest of Elevate gotta find a way to defend this base.
Hard to keep those Magai's cloak on against an Athena, Chang'e, Raijin even, and Mollusk still looking for more through the Cosmos, going to be looking to drop on top of Nexamiss potentially, or even DoctorL.
He cannot find anyone with the knockup. That's been a huge ultimate for them, and this time it does not quite find the mark. He's in a 1v2 on the right-hand side. Zachsy now going to rotate back to the fight. Crimson drops his ult on the Nexamiss, who's able to survive through all those ticks of the drums. Two-man taunt, though, is just too strong. Crimson finds the first kill of this fight. Zachsy does get the rewind off, and he's going to retreat. And now DoctorL has to use the Fatal Strike defensively. Mollusk just barely makes it back out, and FableGG can turn their attention towards left Phoenix, but Zachsy deletes Fatal Ghost.
That's the damage that they need to be happening from Zachsy right now. Zachsy trying to stand on his last leg. He's going to drop the purification beads, just looking to spam as much as possible, and the Phoenix is still standing.
Yeah, FableGG can't find a way in. Zachsy is doing too much damage on this Chronos. Jarman gets controlled. It has to retreat. Accelerate comes out from Zachsy. He wants to go in aggressive. Forced use of Thunder Crashes Crimson. He does fall back. FableGG cannot break the base of Elevate. They can't find their way in. Both these teams just barely clinging to life, but Fable might be looking to regroup and resurge. Elevate have moved away. They're not in a defensive position. Phoenix on the left-hand side is going to be under siege. They still haven't brought it down just yet as Crimson looks for DoctorL. Phoenix is still standing. They couldn't get it.
There's no one to do an auto attack against it. Fatal Ghost, having died so early on in this left-hand siege, is the main reason why Fable are struggling to confirm this one.
Well, now they are going to give this one more try, but yet again, Crimson's not there with them. Crimson was looking for damage last time. He wasn't there. He's the best range damage that they have, perhaps along with Jarman, without having Fatal Ghost available. That pick from Zachsy might have saved the game. I mean, I don't think we're overblowing it to say how important it is to have that Hunter there.
No, Zachsy has to find that kill, or else Elevate lose that Phoenix and possibly even more, because
I think they could
I think Fable would have dove. Fable would have undoubtedly dove when there were 3 members of Elevate sitting right around that 30 to 40% health threshold, and there's practically zero reason to not want to commit outside of the fact that Elevate still had the Phoenix standing, so Fable not wanting to risk getting turned upon and having those Phoenix shots essentially bring them down.
Zachsy's been the big difference maker, and we knew that he would be in these late game fights. This Chronos is so difficult to deal with. Fire Giant buff going to be falling off in any second now. So things will be much more even footing between these two squads without that extra damage. They do have fire minions. They want to re-siege this mid-Phoenix. They drop the Darkest Night. Mollusk is going to give it another try with the ultimate up in the air. He lands on the backside, but DoctorL is making Crimson his target. Jarman's to turn and drop the ultimate onto him, but Crimson's already been deleted. IAmTheHamster does find the retreat path, so Fatal Ghost is now in trouble, and he can't dash away fast enough. He's on the backside, still alive, but Elevate are not done chasing.
There's almost nowhere for Fatal Ghost to run, but FableGG just had to invest so much of their resources to make sure that their Hunter could stay alive that now it's going to be Inbound who ends up getting turned upon.
Inbound has to stay back, use the taunt to create time for the rest of FableGG to escape, but now it's a 5-on-3 in Elevate's favor. Commando Snipe's going to heal up a little bit before they regroup and make their push. I know it's late in the game, but they don't have Crimson's big damage. They don't have Inbound for the taunt. Elevate have a great chance to try and come in and take some Phoenixes, maybe even end.
3 members, though, from Elevate are relatively low, and this might not be the position that they want to find themselves in. Fable could potentially look to aggress here, but instead just going to give up that mid-hand Phoenix, knowing full well the Elevate are not going to want to try and go even deeper.
Ryan Jarman's ultimate only just now became available, so they didn't really have any of their tools to try and defend, but Elevate's still giving them a ton of respect at this point. They're not ready to aggress, and they want to come grab the Fire Giant for themselves. So Crimson and Inbound should be here for the defense. There is a path open for Elevate, yes, but we're now 49 minutes, 20 seconds into this contest, and neither team can find a definitive victory in this fight. The late game from Fable too strong. Elevate's comp skewed a little bit too early and struggling to close this one out. It could go either way still.
I think we're on the, what, third or fourth bout now of Fable having lost at least one Phoenix. I don't want to call out a specific Phoenix because I'm pretty sure all of them outside of the right-hand side one has ended up dying, and that's for both teams.
There have been Phoenixes
They don't like that right side Phoenix.
That's true. No one wants to be in solo lane anymore for whatever reason, Taco. I don't know.
Just gets a little bit too lonely over there, I think.
Yeah.
So many solo laners, I see most of them, like, they'll get into your game and be like, man, I'm just so alone. Can somebody join voice comms?
Oh, no. Taco, please tell me you get in those voice comms. They need you.
I don't, actually. It's the anti-social social hour.
Taco too busy.
I'm usually eating, man. I don't think they want an ASMR experience, okay?
I think Mixer Chat would want that. They want some ASMR Taco. And Elevate now are regrouping for their push over here in the duo lane.
I'd just be that person that eats like the bag of Fritos every single time. I'd find like the crunchies.
Getting those hard crunches coming through, yeah.
Every single time. That's the best way to troll anybody.
Definitely would
get
me to mute
open
your
mic it.
Yeah. Open mic?
Open mic it. They get the full shebang.
Turn that off. I don't even know why that's in there.
Every single part of the experience. From like the chewing to the opening of the bags. And you take like an extra 20 seconds to open the bags for no reason other than to make the crinkling sound even louder.
You just move it up closer to the mic even for the full tilt effect. Elevate going to give this one more try. Remember, they were originally the ones out in the lead here, Taco, and they want to see if they can maintain that lead all the way through to a game 3. Otherwise, Fable are going to shut this set down right here, right now. They got to worry about mid lane, though. There are minions starting to pour through there as well. It's going to be Crimson and Mollusk who come over to defend the mid lane, and they leave Fatal Ghost, Ryan Jarman Inbound to defend the Phoenix on their own.
I'll tell you what, though, Finch. Even if Fable managed to win here, it's still going to be a brutal one for the team. If Elevate win, that's probably going to be even more rough for Fable because they've got to do the mental recovery process. Getting Zachsy Purification beat so early on, though, means that everybody else has to go forward. And it's Mollusk looking for him on that back end.
He's got to be the target for Mollusk, who goes up into the air. Instead, though, he ends up falling back defensively. Left Phoenix ends up falling. Minions starting to pour into the Titan room. Taunt does land on the Hamster, but he's a tanky Erlang Shen. And that's not really the target that Fable are looking for. They give up 2 Phoenixes now, but their base is still standing. They still have the Titan on their side. 52 minutes into this game, Fable still have a chance.
That was clean, though. Probably the most clean siege we've seen from Elevate since, like, the 28-minute mark. They have really not had a whole lot of room to work with ever since this Raijin came online. And so long as Crimson cannot participate in the fight, it's usually a pretty good look for Elevate. That's why we see the Phoenix go down so handedly. It's all about that zone duty factor against Crimson.
That seems so long ago, Taco.
Of the 28 minutes part, or?
Back when they were able to have a big lead. Zachsy doesn't have beads or the rewind. He's got to be the target for FableGG now. He's got all of his defensive options taken away from him. Nexamiss goes in. DoctorL is looking for the loop around the backside of this fight as well, and Crimson is the one who's in trouble. He's at half health, had to use the Aegis, so he's running away defensively. Tries to go over to the Taiko Drums. The taunt into the taunt for the Taiko Drums is huge, and Crimson takes down DoctorL already. Now it's Mollusk who's in trouble, has Defender of Olympus ticking on him as they go aggressively on the backside.
Everybody's still looking to give chase, though, from FableGG. They're all surrounding Nexamiss as this boosted Chulainn is trying to stay alive, and Mollusk at half health actually choosing to charge Zachsy.
And he can't find him. How is Zachsy still alive? I don't understand. He's full health. He's fine. He looks like there wasn't even a team fight. You got to find this Chronos if you're FableGG, and they're just unable to get it done. They got to fall back now and defend their Titan. Minions pouring in from duo. Minions pouring in from the mid lane, and still Elevate and FableGG cannot find a decider here in this match.
But there is so much damage available on the side of Elevate, and that's got to beg the question of whether or not Fable can still pull this off. Sure, you've got the sustain from Ryan Jarman on this Chang'e, But that can only go so far. Zachsy and Commando Snipes have been swinging with their damage.
They weren't sure what they wanted to do. They send Mollusk back. Crimson was backing as well. And Mollusk is the one that goes to defend because their Titan did get very, very low, below half HP. But they spent all this time doing nothing. DoctorL's only 10 seconds away from respawning and making this a 4-on-4. FableGG have got to force the fight now. They got the big chunks coming out from Fatal Ghost Phoenix now at half HP. Elevate are not going to defend this. They're going to stay back. They're taking their sweet time, but eventually they're able to get this mid Phoenix.
Look at that half-health Titan, though. That cannot sit well for FableGG. As it currently stands, Fable, even with securing the mid-hand Phoenix, they have to fight outside of their base now. They don't have the luxury any longer of sitting underneath those Phoenixes and looking to just play footsie pretty much with Elevate as to, oh, no, you go in, no, you go in. And that's not going to be possible. It has to be Fable confirming kills and taking that fight outside of the base no matter what.
Well, Elevate are going to walk right by them if they have their fight outside in their base. They're just going to walk right by them and go for the Titan. We've seen Fatal Ghost with these crits trying to get big impact, but Nexamiss has been causing problems for him all game long. The Spectral Armor, Midgardian Mail, and the Thorns, all to try and mitigate Fatal Ghost damage here on that Xbalanque.
I think Fatal Ghost is in a pretty rough spot, though, because you want the crit damage for Commando Snipes and Zachsy. It's probably the best way possible to kill the Chronos. But then you don't have to strip for these tanky frontliners. And speaking of that fight outside the base that Fable needed to take, this is it happening right now.
Mollusk is in the air, looking for the target. Double knock up on Nexamiss, and IAmTheHamster. Crimson goes up on the Tycho drums, forces the rewind to come out from Zachsy. IAmTheHamster is incredibly low, but able to escape and get the big heal off. Now Elevate can continue to surge into the base if they choose. Nexamiss gonna back and teleport back in.
Left side Phoenix should be respawning pretty shortly here, and that means that Elevate might be looking to siege this one for the 5th or 6th time this game. We've kind of started losing track.
They cannot find a way to break this base. These teams are so even at this point.
I think Elevate are playing too scared. They can just charge in there. They are playing, once Crimson uses the Tycho drums and the Darkest Night is down, that is your sign to go in. I think that they have enough damage to confirm this, and I'm almost surprised that Elevate still do not feel fully comfortable. I mean, that's a lot of respect that they're giving to Fable's composition.
That means now the Fire Giant is going to be the way for Elevate. Actually, a relatively low kill count, I would say, for us being 56 minutes into the game. What is that, 32 kills only in all this time? That's been a real problem. It's been so hard to confirm these kills because Elevate's squad is very tanky and safe. Zachsy with the rewind and with Beads and Aegis and the Wing Blade, it's hard to lock him down. And then on the side of FableGG, they're all able to get out on their own right.
They're just slippery. Fable, probably slightly less survivability than Elevate. No, you know what? I take that back. It can go either way.
Sure, that's why
I think
it's
that
been
Fable
hard.
have been getting really lucky, though, on some occasions, but the same could be said for Elevate also. I mean, there's probably at least 10 odd times I could count of IAmTheHamster surviving where he shouldn't have.
Well, a little bit of assault now as we got the 5v5 in the mid clearing waves. Instead, though, the Fable are going to fall back. They've got all 3 Phoenixes. It's time now for the Titan to start healing back up and breathe a little bit easier here in just a moment. But Elevate don't want to give them time for that to happen. They're starting to force this fight in the mid lane, clearing out the mid waves. Mollusk has the ultimate available. He can rotate over to this fight with the ultimate. Inbound, dash taunt on the Nexamiss, who jumps over it.
Just look at how far back Zachsy's positioned himself. He's waiting for everything to be expended on the side of Fable before committing himself, and I think that's the right call as the Chronos player. Zachsy being the only mage damage that Elevate can really rely on, he has to stay alive during these engagements.
They need Mollusk to find Zachsy. I don't know if we can settle for Hamster being the target anymore, as Crimson already half health, forced the Thunder Crash away. Mollusk does land on a Zachsy, get the beads out with the knockup and the Aegis. Zachsy looks like a perfect target for Fable, but mid Phoenix does fall. Titan will no longer be healing. Fable have to fall back to the Titan room.
But they're not ready to fall back on the side of Elevate. Nexamiss going to get taunted in, still under control inside of that left-hand Phoenix, and he will manage to escape, but this creep wave is so pushed up in favor of Fable that Elevate are now going to have to invest the time to go get their own creeps and have some minions to try and siege with.
Elevate fall back yet again. not quite able to find their way in, but the important thing is that they keep this Phoenix weakened. Don't let this Titan get all the way healthy. Keep this task as easy for them as possible. Now, Fable are waiting on the right-hand side to maybe see if they can trap Elevate coming up too far. Zachsy doesn't have beats or Aegis. He does have Rewind, though.
This could be dangerous if you're Fable, though, because they're the ones taking the fight outside the Phoenix. These Phoenixes have been part of the reason why they've managed to win so many engagements. Everybody from Elevate on the run, trying to get out as Fable continue to chase up the lane.
Taunt lands on the Zachsy. No Rewind, no beats, no Aegis, but he does have the turnaround burn that he puts out. It's going to be the execute threshold coming out, but can't find that. Nexamiss continuing to cause problems in the middle of the fight as FableGG have to retreat. They've used almost all their ultimate to this point, aside from Defender of Olympus. So they really don't have a big way to try and defend. Elevate don't really have any of theirs either, but they're coming in to siege the left Phoenix.
They're too split. Mollusk has to go defend the Titan now because so many fire waves pushed into the wave, and of course, and now you've got Inbound who's just getting heavily controlled, going to get knocked up by IAmTheHamster, barely managing to survive, but it's just for a moment because DoctorL still looking for more.
And I think Elevate are starting to feel a little bit comfortable now. Low health bars for Fable, no relics really available. Goes in for the dash, taunt does inbound, Fatal Ghost, takes down Commando Snipes, but too much damage onto the Titan with the minions helping out. Elevate, 59 minutes, 48 seconds, they take game 2.
That was a lot of damage on the Titan. It kind of went down instantly. I almost feel like Elevate probably could have done that like 15 minutes ago, but I totally understand wanting to play it safe rather than sorry.
Elevate made sure that they got their W, Taco, so I cannot fault them for that. Almost an hour-long game, but they were able to bring it down in the end. What a back-and-forth match. This Triple Warrior comp, though, that Chronos is the big difference maker.
Did you really just hit me with the almost an hour-long game with a 59-minute game? Finch, that's an hour.
It wasn't an hour.
That's an hour. That is an
left.
hour. That is an hour.
That's true.
It's an hour.
Count picks and bans.
Every time.
It's over an hour. I'll give you that. I'll give it to you. But Chronos, to me, was the difference there. I was saying earlier, very early on, I said, this seems inconsistent, right? They've got the Triple Warriors and the Ullr. That seems like a win-now move. But this Chronos feels like a late-game insurance policy, and that's kind of what it turned out being.
I think that Zachsy connecting with the Chronos stun onto 3 different members of Fable is what sealed the deal. Fable shouldn't have pushed. But then again, if Fable don't push there, I take it back, because if Fable don't shove up the lane and chase, then we probably get another 10 to 15 minutes of action.
Yeah, we'd still be there right now. We certainly would be.
That was the big thing, was it a lot of times feels when the games go that late, whoever goes in first could possibly end up just like losing it all. I think Fable just ended up getting a little bit too impatient there on the left-hand Phoenix. They didn't want to try and hold it out any longer on their base. Let's just take our chances, following them up the lane, and well, we kind of saw what happened.
Sounds like